Game Awards is very close, and while this year it's going to be very interesting to see who wins Game of the Year, I'm always way more excited about the big announcements, and I think I got a good idea of what we can expect on December 7th, so let's go over that with Alana Pierce already hyping it up.
I'm gonna be honest, I think this year's Game Awards is gonna be big. I feel like there are going to be a lot of announcements, and I'm excited about it. That's mostly a hunch, a couple of things that I am aware of, but I think it's going to be a good one.
Like, one of the big reveals that I really hope to see is for the Wonder Woman game that is in development at the developers of Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor. This trailer is still all we have. It was also shown at the Game Awards, but in 2021, so 2 years ago, this will be a single player open world game, have the Nemesis system, gear and loot drops. So it basically sounds like Shadow of War, but we play Diana and explore her world. And it's now, by the way, 6 years since Shadow of War, so it feels like it's time for a new game from these developers. The only reason why I think we could not see it at the Game Awards is because Warner Brothers wants to focus on Suicide Squad first. Like, that game will be dropping less than 2 months after the show. This is the biggest stage they can get before release, so I don't think they will skip it. They are, of course, doing the big insider videos, but having like a big hype trailer would make a lot of sense for the show. Last year they dropped the Kevin Conroy trailer. Like, having a 2-minute trailer where we see what a boss fight against one of the Justice League members, or maybe multiple of them, will look like would be cool, because they're kind of like keeping that a secret for now. So I totally think it will happen, but I hope we see Wonder Woman as well. Like, to give you an idea, last year we had some pretty big reveals. So we learned the release date for Final Fantasy 16. Idris Elba was revealed to be in the Cyberpunk DLC. We also got release dates and trailers for Jedi Survivor, Street Fighter 6 and Diablo 4. So we got big updates for AAA games that would launch in 2023. High chance that we see the same at this year's Game Awards, but for the big 2024 games. And one of them is Dragon Age Dreadwolf, announced in 2018 and has now been the big focus for BioWare after Anthem flopped in 2019. And while the game was first planned for 2023, seems like it's now coming in summer 2024 according to the most recent leaks. And really, all the trailers from what I've seen have been at the Game Awards, so it would be weird if they skipped the potential final Game Awards where they can promote the game. And we have to get some gameplay this time, like enough with the teases. I don't think we get like an official release date, but maybe a window like summer or maybe even fall would already be great. But yeah, Dragon Age could totally be one of the biggest games of 2024. Inquisition, by the way, won Game of the Year in 2014, so that's really been 10 years since we got like a good game from BioWare. Really hope that they still have it in them with Dreadwolf. 2023 was of course a great year for horror games, and seems like 2024 might continue that with the Silent Hill 2 remake. The last update we got is that it's progressing smoothly, but that we have to wait for Konami to make any big release date announcements. We did have rumors about a potential March 21st date for the game, so if that is true, I totally expect to hear an update at the Game Awards. Okay, it's not a game, but probably the size of a full game, the Elden Ring Shadow of the Earth 3 DLC, that could also get a big trailer at the show. Now, there were rumblings about an early 2024 date for this as well, but I looked at the Bandai Namco financials, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see like a massive bump in expected sales which would occur for a DLC like this. And they also still have pretty big games like Tekken 8 launching in January. I'm by the way sure we get an update on that at the Game Awards. But yeah, I don't think that means that we get like Elden Ring DLC before April 2024, likely after that. Don't think it rules out a trailer though at the Game Awards, as the game has been at many of Jeff's shows. Let me, by the way, know what you hope to see at the Game Awards in the comments down below, and if you like the video so far, leaving a like would be awesome, and subscribe because we will have coverage up about the Game Awards announcements. Now let's look at some PlayStation 5 exclusives that we can expect. Rise of the Ronin comes to mind, the brand new Souls-like game from Team Ninja, the people behind Nioh, and more recently Wolong Fallen Dynasty and Stranger of Paradise, with the latter in particular exceeding my expectations. This seems like a big next step though, as they also get help from PlayStation's internal studios, and Sony will be publishing the game as well. A leak with credible screenshots suggested a launch in Q1 2024. It's now also more than a year since we got this trailer, so an update at the Game Awards, even if it's launching a bit later, I think would make sense. The same is the case for Stellar Blade, the more traditional DMC style action game with flashy graphics and some pretty powerful powerful looking bosses that we have to take out. I'm getting some Nier vibes from this as well. And now Sony just signed a deal with the developers to have them become a second party studio. So Sony is believing in the project, putting more money behind it, and this could also mean that we finally get an update at the Game Awards. But also other big PlayStation 5 exclusives that we know are planned for 2024, like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, makes sense to get another trailer before the February release. Helldivers 2 could also show up, but I'm not sure if Sony wants to spend the marketing for that. And Death Stranding 2 seems very likely, as I already discussed in my recent Sunday video. So we had Kojima mixing for a trailer, but then the Game Awards responded with the eyes emoji, kind of teasing. They then removed that tweet. It all kind of lines up. The game was announced last year at the Game Awards, and Jeff and Kojima are of course buddies. It could also be another big title for Sony in 2024, so I totally expect to see an update at the Game Awards. But there are also some potential surprises happening from Sony. I will talk about that a bit later in the video. Let's first look at Xbox, because they are actually already teasing important announcements for the Game Awards. They skipped last year, so now they will bring the heat, and they want to have a big first-party title every quarter of a year, and I don't think that we know what's planned for early 2024 yet. So maybe they announced that Hellblade 2 is coming in March. That would be awesome. As about the other big title they have planned for 2024 seems to be a bit more towards later in the year, and I don't think other titles they revealed at Summer Game Fest like Clockwork Revolution, South of Midnight, or Fable that was of course shown earlier, I don't think those are close, so don't expect them. Would of course be even cooler if we got brand new reveals, and then I do count the Indiana Jones game from the Wolfenstein creators, because we only have a teaser trailer for that, but we already know that that game will be talked about in 2024, likely in June. Maybe Starfield DLC could be shown if it's coming sooner than we think, and it's of course included in the deluxe edition of the game. A new Doom game called Year Zero should have already released according to leaked documents. Well, we at least know it's coming, and maybe it's now pushed to 2024, so then an announcement I think would make sense. And we know about a ton of things that the Xbox studios are working on, but we still have a question mark for the Coalition. They launched Gears 5 in 2019, so they might be ready to unveil probably another Gears of War game, and it would be pretty big at the Game Awards. So totally expect a trailer for at least one big 2024 Xbox game at the Game Awards, but president of Xbox, Sarah Bond, also has been teasing something Xbox 360 related, which could be hinting at more backwards compatibility titles with even enhanced performance. Like, would be big to announce it at a general gaming show, as playing these games on other platforms is kind of impossible. Xbox of course famously showed the Xbox Series X at the Game Awards, so 1 year before it came out. They might do it again for the new Series X like redesign they have planned for 2024. I don't think it will happen though, would cannibalize the sales of the Series X. But yeah, wanted to throw it out there that they did it before. Ubisoft always has something for the Game Awards. So last year it was Valiant Hearts Mobile that you can play through Netflix, but earlier years they even announced big games like Far Cry New Dawn at the show. Now don't expect anything Far Cry here though. Seems like the big comeback with a multiplayer game and Far Cry 7 are planned for 2025. A higher chance is that they announce the new Skull and Bones release date at the Game Awards, which should be February 16th, for real this time, right? Not sure if the super crowded February month is smart, but I'm also not sure if it matters for this game. They just have to get it out at this point. Ubisoft is also planning the Prince of Persia game in January, so maybe we see that, but I'm not expecting their other big 2024 titles to show up here, like Star Wars Outlaws, that recently got delayed to later in 2024, and Assassin's Creed Red is likely also too early, although it would be the only Game Awards that they can use to promote these games, so it's probably not happening. Would be wild though if we see Assassin's Creed Red. Now the elephant in the room is of course GTA 6. We know the trailer is coming in early December, which is the Game Awards, but as discussed before, Rockstar doesn't need to share the spotlight with anyone, and they can just drop it at any moment and everyone will watch it anyways. And maybe doing it during the Game Awards is not smart, because then the whole of Europe is asleep. Also, sharing with the Game Awards has a higher chance of it being leaked, so I'm gonna say that they will release it before the Game Awards. December 5th, December 6th, I think makes the most sense. Which probably the best for people that want to announce their things at the Game Awards as well, otherwise everyone will be focused on GTA 6. We will see. Next week for the trailer, at least, seems very likely. Now, Take-Two also has other big groundbreaking titles in financial year 2025, which should help them achieve 8 billion in net bookings, which is 3 billion more than they normally do. So that would be between April 2024 and March 2025. Now, next to GTA 6, they also need to have other titles to achieve this. And as we discussed in that previous Sunday video as well, Borderlands 4 just makes a ton of sense. It was previously leaked as well, although it's of course obvious that they will make a new one. And I think it launches in 2024, but I don't think they will reveal it just yet. BioShock though is another candidate, finally a teaser to see if the rumor of it being in Antarctica is true. Or we could get another look at Judas, which the game from the original BioShock creator Ken Levine, and that also looks a lot like BioShock. It was actually revealed last year at the Game Awards, so maybe they plan to give it another look and hopefully a release date for 2024. This would then be the first game from Ken Levine since BioShock Infinite 10 years ago, which is crazy. We also got a rumor for God of War DLC that should be announced before the end of the year, so then Game Awards makes the most sense. Last year we saw the Horizon Burning Shores DLC announced, so maybe Sony will follow a similar tactic for this probably Atreus-focused content. Maybe even a standalone game. Now, if you are curious, we went in depth on what it could be, so check that video out via a link in the video description. But yeah, this is crazy. The last time we got a new first-party single-player announcement from PlayStation was in September 2021, when we got like Wolverine and Spider-Man 2. This year, the PlayStation Showcase only saw new live service games from those first party. So maybe that will finally change at the Game Awards. Now, I think they will save Ghost of Tsushima 2 or the potential return of Uncharted, which was teased by maybe Bluepoint, for another time. Like, while we know a lot of stuff for Xbox, it's kind of a lot of question marks for Sony, so hope we get some answers, but I'm not really expecting it. I only think we get the God of War DLC. That's kind of the scope that we can expect. Although, if I had to, like, pick one thing, and I've said it many times, I would love to see that Horizon Online project. And yeah, again, Horizon has been showcased before. They could use the bigger stage. It of course depends on when they plan to launch it. It could be 2024, but could also be 2025. So yeah, we will have to wait and see. Last year we also saw a ton of game reveals. So for games that we did not know about yet. They were not like really the biggest titles, but still some really noteworthy ones. And these are of course a bit harder to predict, but I can maybe see them like properly showcase Greedfall 2, as that's something that totally falls in line with the announcements last year. Like we know EA is doing an Iron Man and Black Panther game, although they seem still pretty far away, so I don't think they will showcase that. But we also know about the Black Panther and Captain America game from Amy Hennig, the creator of Uncharted, which has been in development for a longer time, so I could see it show up. There's also still some confusion about the big unannounced Capcom game that should launch before April 2024, but seems like the unannounced was mistranslated and that it's Dragon's Dogma that we now know is coming March 22nd. So I'm not expecting a new Monster Hunter, sadly, just yet. Like, I'm sure we will see some surprise announcements from like smaller studios or studios that are still new, that are like unveiling their first game. It's usually what happens at the Game Awards. We should also get an update on Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, as they plan to announce the date in early December, even though it has been delayed to the second half of 2024. And I hope we are surprised as well with some big things or some smaller things. I'm at least very curious. Again, let me know what you want to see in the comments down below. Subscribe to not miss our coverage on these announcements. A like would of course really help me out. And check out my recent video going over the biggest gaming news of the week by clicking on the screen. I will speak to you very soon. Goodbye.